Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in his gospel, brought lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Anton Daniels. It says, How are white women getting men to marry them, and black women can't figure out how to get married? And Anton Daniels was basically going in on it, and he was giving his insight, which I'm not gonna play his video because he already have a biased standpoint towards Hebrew Israelites, and the last thing we want to do is play his video and fuck around and get flagged because these people hate the truth. He came up against us maybe about a year or so ago, and we did response videos into him, as we always do, to defend the gospel. But regardless, man, people are waking up to the woman, and basically what she was asking in this video was, how can white women get and land husbands, rich men, ball players, celebrities, and all this other shit, but black women can't seem to land that type of ordeal. And Anton Daniels was basically explaining it on how basically because white women choose to meet the man where they at and not at the finish line. But he put it into perspective as well, because he mentioned that white women, they just know how to finesse the game a little bit more than you black women. And you black women, you already have a negative bias on you as far as being gold diggers and whores. So the white woman, she's able to kind of subtly, she can basically subdue her way inside a man that's rich and possibly get him at the end of the line. Because all these women marrying or dating a woman in the West, period, is a huge risk, especially if you were financially stable. Okay, you're a man of status and you're a celebrity. To get married to any woman in the West can be a huge risk and a big disadvantage for the man. And that's just the reality, whether she's black, white, Puerto Rican, Mexican, and I'm saying bywords, whether they're Edomite or Israelite, Moabite, you have a chance on getting burned here in the West. And this is why I said specifically, if I was a celebrity and if I had this kind of money, I'll get a wife from the Philippines or from Thailand, or I get a wife from overseas, and I won't tell her that I'm rich. You know what I'm saying? I'll go over there. I'll build a house over there for first thing. I'll build a crib for her. And I'll go over there on off seasons, kind of be back and forth between the States and wherever land, my wife resides, whether it be in the Philippines or Thailand or Brazil, wherever it may be. I'll build a crib over there, and I'll go over there for weeks at a time, spend time with my wife, and then come back over here in the States and do what I do. And I would never tell her that I'm rich. And I would make sure that she... How can I say it? Because everybody has access to the internet, but just certain people are not aware on who certain people are. Like, believe it or not, you got people in third world countries that don't even know who Michael Jordan is, and he's world famous. So it's doable, but I would not get married to. I won't get married to a woman traditionally on this side, and I'm not even a celebrity. So just imagine if I did have that kind of money, I definitely wouldn't fucking do it, man. So he was breaking it down into perspective, and she was basically wondering, why can't black women find the same? Well, for one thing, because black women, you're not cooperative. You don't cooperate. You're very combative. You're very loud. Okay, you have no respect. A lot of you are whores. A lot of you are overweight. You're obese, and you're not submissive. And these are the things that men have been telling you since day one, and yet you choose to turn a blind eye to it, because at the end of the day, your intentions are not genuine. Okay? They want to meet you at the finish line, meaning that she wants to come in your life once you've made your millions or billions or however else you made. Your celebrity, you on top, you got your estates in order, you got 2 houses, 10-car garages. And here she wants to meet you at the end of the road, 5 kids later, 150 bodies later, out of shape, obese, hair weave and eyelashes and long fingernails. Like, that's not an even trade-off, bro. And that's kind of what he was going into. Now, this chick here, she was basically saying how she's submissive, how she's fit, how she can get men, but how nobody will marry her. Well, And Anton Daniels was like, well, for one thing, because it was already a red flag when you ask how can white women or how can black women land celebrities. So right there shows you your ingenuineness on wanting to marry sincerely because you love the person. So already you were in it for money or for status or fame and wealth. And that's one thing that you stupid jigs don't understand, man. You get married to these women, like The Game. He got this, I think he was like in this 10-year scandal with some chick that he allegedly sexually assaulted. 10 years now, he owed the bitch $10 million. Had to sell a $4 million mansion to pay the bride that can come back and say, oh yeah, well, he sexually assaulted me. Like, I don't understand how they can even allow them to do something like that. You know, here he was dealing with this bride. Let's just say if I'm dealing with a woman, right, and I'm not rich or famous, and we had sexual intercourse, and, you know, it was consensual on both halves, so we both enjoyed it, and eventually we just outgrew each other, and then, you know, I went my way, she went her way. Then 5-6 years later, I blow up and become the man. I'm a multi-millionaire, and all of a sudden I'm getting a summons in the fucking mail saying that I've sexually assaulted this bitch. And the courts actually allowed these particular civil proceedings to go forth. We're not putting a stop to it, saying, wait a minute, why didn't you say something when he didn't have money? So clearly it's a fucking money grab. But yet the court systems don't care because they favor the woman and they hate you jakes, man. So it's don't nobody want to marry the black woman. The black woman you played out, okay? Jake don't want you. Okay, Jake could get some, you know, some kuba from you, some box from you, or whatever you want to call it. But Jake is not marrying these black women, man. They're just not gonna happen. You know, unless you got some suckers out there that may actually still believe in this traditional style of marriage. But most men are not getting married today, and rightfully so. Okay, so peep this. Ghetto Frontier Airlines employees turn hood on customers. And this is another thing. The way you are displayed in front of the world, Keisha, everybody sees you for the disrespectful, loudmouth, combative woman that you are. Okay? They see you twerking. They see you fighting your men. Every time you look up, there's a fight. Bitches scuffing in the dirt. Bonnet Chronicles out there, ass showing, being whores, twerking on headlights, jumping out at red lights. This is the type of stigma you have on you around the world. So when you try to go be a passport sis, it don't really end too well for you because for the simple fact, nobody desires you. Everybody, you've put your folly on display in front of the whole world and everybody knows. All right? You're being literally outed on a public stage, on a world stage, and you still are yet to see the humility. You are being publicly ousted on the world stage in front of everybody, and you still refuse to humble down and repent and get your life in order. The whole world is pointing fingers at you on how bad of an individual you are, and yet you still blame everybody else. If I got 20 motherfuckers pointing at me saying, man, yeah, man, you ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Or you doing some wickedness, or you doing this and that, and they showing me that I'm fucking up, and I still put the blame on the other people because I'm a fuck up, then that means I'm a narcissist, man. And that's what Keisha is. And just the woman, period. Whether she be Jake, Edomites, all the women in the West are fucked up, man. You know? It says wives are nothing but unpaid hoaxes. Woman says don't get married. Wow. Women are loyal to men in prison, but not guys with potential. Paul Pierce says white women are more submissive. Paul explains why successful men get married to white women. And in many ways, he's on point, but I won't necessarily say that white women are more submissive. They just more subtle. They know how to play the game. They're not stupid like the black woman. They know they could put the serpent up until it's time to bite. But they get you niggas too. I wouldn't even marry a white woman on this side, bro. Like I said, I would get a wife from a different country. It says, how are white women getting married, blase, blase. I'm a single mother facing eviction, tired of working. Woman says our car is getting repossessed. And it's just what it is, man. You black women are not winning, okay? But anyway, let's read this. This is the book of Proverbs 18:22. It says, whosoever findeth a wife, findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. Right. A wife. And a wife is just not some bitch you meet on the streets where you grew up with and you put a ring on her finger after she's 100 bodies later. Like, that's not a wife, bro. That's a tainted, that's a whore that you decide to bring into your life, man. That's gonna destroy your life. Okay, a wife is a wife or a woman is a woman that submits to her man and she does whatever the hell he tells her to do. Okay, she helps him out, she's virtuous. You met her when she was a virgin. Okay, finding women in this society doesn't mean you have favor with the Most High, man. I mean, you can literally date a girl for a month and make her feel like Princess Chase, and I guarantee you a month later she will marry you, man, based on how you make her feel emotionally. But that can all turn around. All right. So it says, whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaining favor from the Lord. Yeah. Well, depend on perspective you put it in. Because, hey, the scriptures say that a wicked woman is given to the portion of a wicked man. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon him. Right. So most of these women in America are wicked. And a lot of them are married to dudes, man. So do that mean that you have favor with the Most High? No. All right. So it says, whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And these women, they're not wife material. You know, this is why men from other countries, they don't come to America to get married. Okay. But men from America, they go abroad looking for wives because they understand the dynamic is different. Now, when you look up a wife, it goes into Aisha, which means a woman, a wife, a female. All right. Wife married to a man. And that's what it is. Woman, wife, and woman means servant. And you think that these women will want to be servant to a man, especially a so-called black man? Hell no. Like going down the aisle, you remember when the preacher dude used to say, and to death do your part, and would you choose to obey and cherish and love this man? And one chick straight out said, no, I don't think I can obey him. So that's not a wife right there. Because a wife's supposed to submit to you, man. And don't get it twisted. She'll submit to you if you wicked. But if you have men with potential, they ain't going to submit to you because, see, one thing I learned about dealing with women out here is that women, they don't like to be corrected. And if you're constantly correcting a woman, they will despise you. Okay? Relationships tend to work out in your favor if you're pandering to her, if you're catering to her, you're putting her on a pedestal, and you letting her get away with murder without calling her out. Then the marriage may work. Because basically it's in her favor. But the minute you start putting your foot down and saying, well, look, you're not wearing that. You shouldn't be dealing with these type of friends because they're going to put a bad influence on you. You know, be careful on who you be with. Be careful on what you eat. They don't like that because they say you're too controlling or you too much of a drill sergeant. But you're supposed to put your family in order like that because that way you save them from the destruction, right? Let's go here. Sirach 36, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at 36 and let's start at 24. It says, "He that getteth a wife begetteth a possession." Now, when you tell these women that they are your possession, nah, nigga, you don't possess me, you don't own me. Okay, then, well, how can that be your wife if she's not in agreement with that? Most women, they want a partnership, meaning that they want you to where they want to expend your resources while they go and do their own thing. And then most women get married for status only. You know, like if she's at the end of her rope and she's like in her upper 30s and she see all her friends and families is married, she'll get married just to say she's married so she don't be the laughing stock. Because ideally, a woman should want to be married and have children. I mean, that makes them feel important, which is not a bad thing. Women should be married. They should have kids with the man that they're dealing with. But the only thing with that is the fact that when they're married, they tend to fuck up the whole relationship because 90% of women file for divorce, man. You know, like I said, they get married off emotional sentiment, not because they truly care. Okay, oh, you gonna marry me because my mom and dad was married for 40 years and, you know, it's gonna look bad on me if I'm not. Okay, understandable, but at the same time, are you genuinely getting married to this person because you care about them? You know, then the crazy part about it is, they'll deal with you and y'all break up and she'll go and she'll go and take what you taught her and bring it to another man and be submissive to that man while she was a demon to you. Make that shit make sense. But it says here, "He that getteth the wife begetteth the possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest." And these women, they're not rest. They're not pillars of rest. You know, you come in, the food is not, the house is junky. You know, they're not cooking, they're not cleaning. Kids all over the place. And then you come in, you got to work another 8-hour shift. trying to tend and cater to her emotional needs, man. It don't work like that. Men need peace in their life. You women need to know when to leave your man alone. You need to know when to give him a couple of days. You need to know when to be there for him, when to rub his back. You got to understand and read him. Even if he's not telling you how to read him, you got to figure that shit out, man. You know? But it says, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. And these women are spoiled. And this is the reason why most black women, they will never get married. And if they do, like they say, majority of the relationships end in divorce initiated by the woman, because he's not appeasing to her emotions anymore, you know. But it says here, and he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning. This is why the men in America are like, man, fuck this, we're tired, we're not dealing with this shit no more. They getting the passports and they're moving on because they understand how vindictive and combative and how unreasonable you black women are. Okay, you're above correction. Can't nobody correct you. And then when somebody corrects you, is always a rebuttal to it. But no, there's no buts, man. Just do what the hell you're told, man, and listen and take heed. You know, I mean, it's shit. It's just like, goddamn, it's not that hard. You know. But anyway, this is the book of Sirach 25, and I'm gonna start at verses 7. It says here, there be 9 things which I've judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man to have joy of his children, and that's another thing. Men are not having kids because they got to deal with the child support shit. They got to deal with the Jedi mind tricks. Well, you ain't going to see your kid, and I'm going to keep your kid away from you, and then I'm going to turn the kid against you, but yet you still got to pay child support. It's like they reach out for everything else when they need something, but when it comes to spending time with the kid, they don't want to initiate anything of that nature because they want you to be the... I never met a group of women that literally turned the kid against the fathers, man. Okay, they do everything in their power to taint the child's mind to come up against the father. You know? I never done just so they wouldn't look bad in the eyes of the kid, man. I've never met a group of women that was that goddamn evil and vindictive. But it says here, in the 10th I will utter with my tongue, a man I have joy with his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And you women are the enemy. Like we always say, you are sleeping with an enemy. But well is him that dwelleth with the wife of understanding, and that have not slipped with his tongue, and that have not served the man more unworthy than himself, man. Okay? And that's the point. The scriptures say a wife that have understanding. And you don't have any understanding, man. Okay, this is why it says here, give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman. And men, they're like, you know what? We're not dealing with it anymore. All right? We're not dealing with it. Proverbs 26. Salaki, not Proverbs. Sirach 26. And I'm going to start at verses 13. It says, the grace of a wife delighted her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. And you black women, you have no discretion. Okay, I could pull up a video right now of black women twerking. Like, prime example, I think it was one designer that designed jogging suits for women that's in shape. And you had a bunch of black women that went into the stores. I think his name was, I forgot the name of it, man. But brothers was doing a lesson on it this week. And it was basically a bunch of hyenas going in there twerking and legs in the air and dancing. And these are grown-ass women. I'm talking about these are late 20s, mid-30s, early 40s women jumping up and down, out of shape, twerking and spinning around, all because of a designer said that his clothes wasn't made for so-called black people. Hell, Gucci and all this other shit, yeah, they stole Jake's design, but that was not made for you either. All right, I'm not making a clothing line for a bunch of niggas that can't afford it anyway. It ain't for you. It's overpriced. I don't want you wearing my shit. But, you know, niggas gonna do what they gonna do. And then these women had the audacity to go in there and just make a total mockery of themselves. And they wonder why Bonnet Chronicles is at an all-time high. Like, you're literally being called out on a world stage right along with Esau, and you bitches refuse to see the failure or the ways of the error of your ways. This is why the Apostle Gabar always say, he said, what words don't correct, adversity will. And adversity, the only thing that's going to get these women back in order is straight up through adversity, and that's going to come with hands-on approach. Okay, they're going to have to physically get hands put on them by the Lord for them to see and understand the wickedness of their ways, because us talking to them is not going to work, man. But it makes it the more better because we've gave the warning. And we're telling you women exactly what you need to do in order to get in the graces of a man and of Yahweh Shem Shai, man. But you're not listening to that. And it says here, the grace of a wife delighted her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. It says a solid and loving woman is a gift from Yahweh, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Okay, man, somebody you can lead, somebody that's willing to take you allow you to lead. Well, it ain't about allowing me, bitch. I'm gonna lead. I'm the man. You don't allow me to. You don't enable me to do shit. But the ordeal is somebody that's willing to listen and to submit and humble down and trust in your leadership. Even if when you're figuring it out, they can still have faith in you, man. These women don't have no faith in the so-called black man. And, you know, in many ways, righteously so, because look who they've been raised by. They are raised by women that mirror themselves. So how can they don't have faith in themselves? Most men out here were raised by single women. So this is the reason why they act the way they act. Same men you complain don't want you is the men that you've raised up to become monsters. And it says, an ashamed-faced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued, man. But as the sun, when it ariseth in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of our house. And you women don't know how to put your house in order, man. You just don't, you know. But anyway, I'm going to end it giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Shem Shai. Lord's will, you were edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.